Thanks for the video, Simon, but how do I forgive myself? Great question. Self-forgiveness is often the most difficult forgiveness. However, it follows a very similar path to the 6-step process outlined in last week's video. Forgiveness, after all, is forgiveness. And if you can forgive others, then if you put in the work, you can absolutely forgive yourself. It's fundamentally the same. Freeing yourself, reclaiming your energy, and letting go of all hope of a better past. Now, if you haven't already, please watch the video on the 6-step forgiveness process for a full explanation and download the free PDF on this 6-step forgiveness framework for your reference. The link's in the description below. And in this video, I'm going to assume that you've watched the video or you've downloaded the PDF sheet to follow. I'm not going to repeat the process in depth. I am going to travel through briefly, and I'm going to highlight the differences and additions for self-forgiveness. As with any forgiveness process, you have to want it. Wanting self-forgiveness means you have to be willing to treat yourself with kindness and compassion. You have to believe you're worth it. Again, forgiveness is of the heart, from your heart for you. So heading into the 6 steps, step 1 and 2 are the same. Remember exactly what happened and how you felt, and imagine as clearly as possible what the other person must have gone through and what they likely would have felt. In step 3, again the same. You're identifying the reasons to not forgive yourself, and then journey through the process of working out, of identifying those assumptions, those expectations that you had of yourself, or maybe you still have of yourself. Now, to help you out here, some of the usual assumptions and expectations, people sometimes assume that they're perfect, or they have an expectation that they're above making such big mistakes. That's not who I am. That's not what I do. I know a lot of other people who are quite comfortable with the idea they make a lot of mistakes, but they have an expectation they won't make as many, or they won't keep making the same ones over and over. There's the expectation that you should be in control of yourself and be able to make good choices, even when you're under a lot of stress, even when you're living with addictions or maybe other health issues. There's the expectation you should be able to cope with life and make good choices without help. Or the expectation that you should have known the consequences of that choice before you even made it. You should have had hindsight. Now, many of these expectations and assumptions will be shoulds and shouldn'ts, and you've got to ask, where do these expectations come from? Are they false? Are they reasonable to think that way? Again, be kind to yourself. Take your time here. Dig deep. Step 4 and 5 are a little bit more involved. In step 4, as well as choosing to release yourself from the reasons and the expectations and the assumptions that you've identified, it's also essential that you take full responsibility for your behaviour. Really, this is about total ownership of your choices, a radical acceptance that yes, you did choose to behave that way. This is your choice, these were your behaviours. And it's only really when we can get here that we can move on from these behaviours and you can move on with your life. Step 4 also involves then identifying what you can learn from the experience. Learning from this is an essential part of self-forgiveness. What can you learn and what can you do that's going to ensure that you don't end up falling in the same hole again? And what can you learn that'll help you grow and become a better human being? And really, what can you gain from this experience? What can you take away from it that's constructive? Okay, then on to step 5. Step 5 is now about designing that pathway for release. Now, first with self-forgiveness is the need to face up to your past actions. Do what you can to make amends. What can you do to repair any harm? Is there a need to apologise to anyone, including yourself maybe? If there is, yep, go and do it. And really at this point, now in step 5, you've travelled through, you've released yourself from the reasons and the expectations and the assumptions. You've accepted total ownership of your behaviour. You've extracted all the learning out of the experience, and you've done the best to repair any harm. And now it's time to create that symbolic act that really signifies the total release and forgiveness of yourself. Now, the ideas here are really unlimited. Go for a swim in the sea or the river and wash away your past. Do something physical and sweat it out of you. Organise a meal for yourself. Whatever it is, be kind and let go. And then, of course, on to step 6, which is being assertive with those thoughts and just making sure that you don't put up with, that you don't in any way entertain any of those sort of pre-forgiveness thoughts. You've let go now. It's time to move on. Under enough stress, we're all capable of behaving in ways that don't match with our integrity and who we really are. We have to be kind to ourselves and accept our humanity. Our perfection is in our imperfections. We all make mistakes. And our responsibility to ourselves and to others is that we learn from these mistakes and we grow and we evolve and we level up and we become better human beings. You are worth it. Beating yourself up helps no one. You can't change what you've done, but you can change what you do from this moment forward. I really appreciate you. Have a magic week and continue to be kind to yourself out there.